Welcome to Living on with the Spectrum. I'm your host Tim, and Denisha. She is running just a tad bit late. She's here. She was just doing the girl's hair, and I got my son. He's helping me in the background today with the cameras. But today we want to talk about not getting in your feelings today, and I mean that's something that's very easily to do. Not getting in your feelings today. Oh, it's not just going to be from a man's point of view or from your point of view, but I guess I'm going to be doing most of the talking. Um, but here we go. Let me just explain or just introduce myself once again. I need you on that camera, Nehemiah. My name is Timothy Ashley. My wife's name is Denisha Ashley. We're your hosts with Living with the Spectrum. And we come on here and we talk about life situations. We talk about our difficulties. We talk about our good times. We talk about our achievements. We talk about so many different things as it deals with us and reaching our goals with our children. And one of the main things that we want to discuss is, not taking everything so personal. And for me, um, it's I can't say it's quick to get me to the point of where I'm argumentative or anything of that nature, but whenever there's some issues that arise, you have to learn how to just take a breath and breathe a little bit and not just jump to conclusions because things come and sometimes they come at a curveball and we have to know how to tackle those things, and sometimes you don't know what you're tackling. You just have to take that time to take a quick breath and figure it out. So from a father's point of view, um, for me, it's men are very visual. Men in some ways could be impatient. Um, Men in some ways could be patient at times. And when we don't understand certain things, there's times that we're not showing that we're not understanding. I mean, we could be closed off, and because we have to have a certain perspective, right? Um, I don't want my wife to always see me. I mean, I don't want to always feel like I'm finna or about to collapse or shut down um, when things arise. Like, say, for instance, when my daughter right now, my middle daughter, Ivea, a lot of times she's very angry because she's the one that's nonverbal. And what happens is that she'll get angry and she'll hit the side of the door windows, and she'll make noises, and because she's frustrated and she's like, no, you don't understand what I'm saying, but this is what I need. And even though she has a talking device, she doesn't always try to use that, and we try to get her to come back to using that particular device even when she's mad. We're like, well, find your device, or so on and so forth. And the first thing that comes to mind is, how do we stop the anger? And I know that we shouldn't always think like that. We should think like, what is it that she's angry about? That should be our first thing. So instead of just trying to quiet or just put water on on the storm or the fire, my first thought now, because of experiences, is how do we see what it is that she's wanting or what she's needing from us. And my wife, she may take it from another point of view, but we have to get her take on that when she comes. But there's some really stressful times that come about due to the fact of, Nehemiah, I need you to zoom in and zoom out for that camera. Okay. All right. I'm sorry about that. There's times um, where you just have to be on your A game, and you have to realize that dealing with this particular life where there's a lot of different emotions at one time, there's a lot of different stresses throughout the day, and it seems like there's no break for you. based on the type of lifestyle that we live with, having three children that's on the autistic spectrum. You have to make it work for you. You have to have time where you schedule out, and you have to have time where you're trying to take care of yourself as well. Do some good self-help stuff, and some well care, self-care, to make sure you handle things, or that you have the strength to handle things. So, uh, not being in my feelings, sometimes it's easy to get into your feelings because it's the environment that you're in most of the time, and you can get angry. There's things that trigger you to want to shut down, trigger you to want to go, just get away, and move away from the whole situation. So I'm just speaking my truth regarding that. Um, I would say for parents that are out there, based on 10 years of experience, we have to we just have to be mindful, and mindful of what's going on. We gotta just look at it as that it's an obstacle, and that there's a way to handle it. And sometimes you may want to do research by looking on YouTube and seeing how other people deal with certain things. But for me, I typically try to do a lot of reading. Sometimes I'll research on YouTube to see how I can best handle a certain situation. So I'm just trying to, at all times, not be in my feelings, but be at the point of um, of just trying to be a good steward in those situations, and try to stay on top of everything, and try to make our lives easier with being parents, and especially parents of children that have these special needs superpowers. Oh, here she is.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. I made it. Oh, sorry. Oh, chair. Let me tell you, I'm tired, but yeah, like Tim was saying, I have to do the girls' hair. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I actually went to school um, to learn how to do hair because when we moved to Atlanta, one of my closest friends in Orlando, she used to do my hair and stuff like that. And when we moved, I didn't have anybody to do our hair, and I was not about to spend a whole bunch of money to do hair. So I went to school, and now I'm licensed, but somebody's got to do it because if I don't do it, it can't get done. But shout out to my husband because he did help me today with
Bathing and washing.
bathing and washing the youngest, and so it took a lot out off of my plate as far as having to shampoo her hair. But she done fell asleep now, so we'll see what happens. It'll get done, but it probably won't do exactly what I wanted to do.
So
Anyways, what's up, y'all? Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I'm
episode
late.
6.
Episode 6, Living with the Spectrum. What are we talking about? Because I think he don't went.
I don't think I went left. I just
No, when I say went left, I don't remember us. Why is the TV still on?
I don't know. I'll turn it off.
Peppa Pig still in the background, y'all. We found out that our youngest Grace really likes Peppa Pig. Um, so if that's what you were hearing, yeah, Peppa. Um, so what are we talking about?
Talking about, basically not being in your feelings, because sometimes it's easy to get angry and easy to, just fly off the handle. And I think that we have to understand that, it's part of the process of dealing with children that have special needs, and that there's some way that you can schedule time to do self-care in order
Mm-hmm.
to keep yourself from growing crazy and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just general what we're talking about tonight.
Just checking the volume. Sorry, y'all. I didn't get a chance to do it last week because I heard everything you said. I promise. Okay, volume's working. Um, Yvette had my phone. She wants more nuggets.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So initially, what I really wanted to talk about, and that's why he thinks I said he went left, because what I really wanted to do was give Tim the opportunity to talk a little bit more about how he has had to deal with things on a male perspective as a father. Because a lot of times when you're in this role or you have children on the spectrum, the guys kind of get thrown to the back because we're the mothers and they don't really get the opportunity to really express how they feel and talk about what was going on in their minds when the diagnosis happened and all of these different things, because as the mom we're the ones who have carried the children for 9 months. And y'all know, well, y'all are learning how I felt and continue to feel about the situation. So I was in the background like finishing up my daughter's hair, and when I heard him, I'm like, that is not what we discussed. So I'm like, oh Lord, he don't went left. But nonetheless, we'll talk about how I deal with. And then I was talking to him. I'm like, babe. Anyways, um, we're talking about how I deal with the stress. I don't know if you guys have tuned in previous episodes, but I now have a therapist that I see once a week. Well, I've been off. Well, I started the new job, and so I haven't seen her in about 2 weeks, which spoke with her today, and so we'll get back on the books this week. But I had to learn that I needed another way, another outlet. I needed because my mental health started, like my mind and whatever, all of that within me started to deplete. And the cares that I used to care about keeping myself up. Now, let's be very clear. I, took care of myself hygienically, if that's even a word, but my hygiene has always been on point. But I'm very much a girly girl. And so I'm into the lashes, I'm into the nails, I'm into um the hair getting done on a regular. What's wrong, baby? It's okay. I can still see myself. He's helping in the background, so he's worried that it went off. Um I'm into dressing up, all of that kind of stuff. So that part of me, and wanting to do stuff. And once the diagnosis has happened, that part of me kind of went into hibernation. I don't want to say died, because gradually I bring it out. I'm not like I used to be, but gradually I do those things. I try to keep myself looking presentable. Now, do I have my moments where I don't want to do anything but wear sweats and wear a hat? Yes, I do. I still have those moments. So one of the things I had to do was get a therapist to deal with the stress and the anxiety, because I ended up starting to have anxiety. Because just it was just so overwhelming, and I was just so upset, and I had fallen into depression or whatever. And I'm very good at hiding and covering up. I'm like my father, and it's a good thing. And but he also at the same time, he internalizes a lot of things or whatever. And so I do the same thing. And a lot of people, they don't understand that I may be feeling some type of way because I internalize it and I don't talk about, what I'm really feeling. Please, she's sleeping. Um, so what happened for me was after Grace was diagnosed, which is our 5-year old, she was diagnosed at 3. Um, I immediately just kind of went down, not down like, oh, but no, down. And my father and my mom was here, and they were just, I think it was around maybe a holiday. I'm not even really sure. And then my health was kind of depleting. I am a long time asthmatic, and all of the stress and anxiety and everything started, you know, what you call it, like aggravating. I don't like to say my asthma, but this asthma. So they were here kind of helping us out or whatever. And so my dad was with us, and he was like, I am worried about you. And I was like, why? Um, and he said, because you're not yourself. And I said, well, I got a lot going on, you know? And he said, have you ever considered, now this coming from a Jamaican man, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up from Jamaica, not born, not saying I'm Jamaican and was born in the States. No, he's from Jamaica. And so, um, even in, you know, the African American, black culture, African American, whatever, mental health is not something that we talk about. And so imagine it coming from my father. I was like, I must be doing real bad, thinking that I was doing good if my father is worried about me. And so he was like, you know, I think you have you ever considered talking to somebody? And I'm like, no, I mean, who am I gonna talk to? I talk to you guys. And he was like, yeah, you talk to me, you talk to your mom, and but maybe you need to talk to somebody that's on the outside because you're changing. You're not as happy as you used to be. You don't really laugh anymore. You ain't getting dressed. And if you know my father gets dressed to the nines just to go to the mailbox. Okay. Ironed shirt, pants, hat, shaved. And so he was seeing me constantly throw on sweats and a baseball cap or throw a little silk wrap around my head and go outside. And he was just like, you know. So he was extremely concerned. So when he came to me and he said that to me, I was like, okay, I'm not handling this as much as well as I thought I was. And maybe I should look into speaking to somebody. Now, and I would talk to very close friend of mine, call her my god sister. She's a psychotherapist. And but even so, I wouldn't completely just unload on her because that's her job. She deals with that on a, you know, 24, not 24/7, but a everyday basis. And so I didn't want to throw my problems on her as well, as long, you know, along with everybody else's. So anyway, I looked into and my 10-year-old wants more nuggets. So just she wants more Tim. Um I immediately, let's not say immediately because that probably is pushing it. Here. I thought about it for a little bit, started doing some research or whatever. And I was like, well, let me look into it. You know, it can't hurt, you know. And so I found me somebody or whatever. And one of the things about um mental health and therapy is, excuse me, excuse me, I just cooked too, so I'm tired. I done cooked, we done washed hair, I done did hair, and I still got two more hairs to do, including mine. That was just a little side note. Um, One of the things about therapy and mental health is you want to make sure that you find a therapist that you feel comfortable with, regardless of the color. You also want to be able to feel like you can talk to this person about any and everything. And so me being a Christian or whatever, um, was very important for me to be able to talk about my faith. Now, I don't think that the person necessarily has to be a Christian, but I do want them to understand my core values. Okay. And so that was something that me and Tim had to discuss. And he wasn't really feeling the idea that my therapist wasn't going to be a Christian. But as long as I can explain who I am and then talk about God and then be me, that's what was important to me, because clearly I was slowly falling. So found somebody, she really good person, and I've been seeing her going on 2 years now,
Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
and it is a daily battle. I have my moments where I'm like, is this even working? And there are times that I'm asking her, I'm like, am I even making any progress or whatever? And she'll say to me, you guys have so many. Are you okay? Okay. As remember, I said like in the second or third that he's dramatic because he gets it from both of his grandmothers. Yeah, that's what we deal with right now. One of his dramatic moments. Um,
I would
Go
say
ahead.
I would say with the therapy thing, because on the outside looking in, what everything that's going on with you, you know, I think that it works, and I think that it's a thing that's a process. You
Mhm.
don't. We're not saying that we're going there to be cured, but we're there to work out certain situations in our lives and to look at it from a different perspective and see how we can handle it.
Absolutely.
You know, for me, I mean, it could be an uphill battle, but I understand that it's a battle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not to be negative most of the time, because even though there's challenges, there's some great things that go along with how they show you love, and how they hold you, and how they hug you and smile in your face and grab your cheeks, and they show you love in a way that you've never seen it before.
Hmm.
And they're very trusting of their parents. So that's a blessing. I think that that's a big blessing. And to see them go through leaps and bounds from areas that we didn't think that they were going to excel in,
Hmm.
and like a year ago or so on and so forth, and then now they're actually on top of it and mastering certain things. It just brings my heart joy, you know. So that's just where I'm at with the whole situation. And we're talking about how it affects us and how we deal with it. And from father's point of view, like I was saying earlier, fathers are told to
Nee, that's enough.
they're told to
Sorry.
basically, or to hold your emotions in. And sometimes I break down. Sometimes I just feel like I can't face the world because of some of the things, some of the challenges that we go through. But all in all, it's made me a lot stronger. It's made me a lot stronger.
I'm sorry. Something's about to power off. Oh, I'm sorry. He got the Lysol and he is going to town in the bathroom with the door closed. Please don't do that. That is not safe. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We don't need any
so
accidents.
it pulls me in and out. I'm sorry, y'all. Like I have to multitask because what y'all don't see behind the scenes is it's a lot going on now. One of our kids, the 5-year-old, she is asleep for the night.
Uh-huh.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
But the older two are still awake. And so again, it's still, is he done? Or you still need him? Oh, okay. Well, he working behind the camera and he is doing the absolute most. Okay. He's very distracting. Anyway, go ahead, Tim. Did I interrupt you? That was not my
No,
plan.
no. I mean, our lives are upside down every now and again. So,
Every
um,
now and again.
well, I mean, every day basically. So it's nothing new. You start getting used to it after a while. Um, yeah, basically from a father's point of view, men really don't deal with emotions well. And I'm not saying that you just completely just cry all the time or so on and so forth. You got to learn how to deal with these things. One thing that I love about the Bible, we're faith people, is that you get gifts when you overcome certain things. Um, there's like a reward for overcoming certain things. So if you see that there's an obstacle and you tackle it, there's a reward in that. It's not like, well, we've got this, so let's just stay here. No, there's a reward. There's enjoyment. There's so many emotions that go into learning how to get to the next level that allows you to become a better person. So for me, even though it's a challenge, even though it's like, man, why we got to go through this? It's like, man, but look at the things that we're overcoming. And, I can't say that we're putting every piece of the puzzle together, like we want it to be done, but the progress is very, very rich for me. So I enjoy that. I enjoy being able to hang out with Nehemiah and him. Before, he couldn't even give me a conversation. It was just a little word here and there, or he would copy what I was saying. But now I'm able to sit down and have a full-fledged conversation, and I get enjoyment because his vocabulary's grown so much. I'm like, man, where you learn that from?
Yeah.
I didn't
He
even know
will
you thought like that.
look. He throw us for a loop all the time, and we be like, "Did you hear this dude?" He is the funniest thing ever. Go ahead, Vic. Sorry.
No, no, just showing and how I feel about certain things.
Yeah.
Like he's laughing in the background. A
There's
good
not,
thing,
there's
another
nothing
good
going
thing about it is that our children are happy.
Nothing's happening.
You know,
He's laughing.
he's just laughing. He's just sitting there just laughing.
Drama. Do you understand me? King.
But, but that makes me feel good because our kids are happy.
They are very happy.
I mean, it's showing me that we're doing something right.
Yeah.
That we create a safe place for them, and that's what we want to share with you guys. We want to get to know the people that are out on the other end and create a community to where in some way or some form that we get together, whether it be online, whether in person when things start clearing up a little bit more, but seeing how we as a community can help raise our children together. And if you're going through something that I've been through, I can pull you up to speed and tell you you're able to make that. You're able to make it out of that. And the same thing for us. There's some things that we're going through that you may have gotten out of. And I need hope in that area. So that's what it is for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, but this section of what we do is the podcast. Like, where this right here is what? Oh, here. Look at that camera. My bad. This section of what we do is definitely our journey, what we deal with, how we overcome certain things. And if you definitely have questions or topics that you want us to talk about, you can email them to us. And so I was talking to, now we did also do, side note, follow me. We had our first support group yesterday at 12. And so that is where we want to create this sense of community in this support group. We don't want to always just be having this podcast. Now, we are going to be having the podcast, but we don't want to just do the podcast. We also want to have a support group and create that sense of community so that you do have the opportunity to talk to each other and to us, and we kind of just figure this thing out together. So we are going to do the support group once a month in the beginning. And so just kind of look out for that. But why is it echoing? Or was that just me? Oh, okay, my bad. Um, power off. Zoom it. Sorry. Uh, Tibbs. Oh, just say the word so he know what to do. Anyways, I'm
We're
sorry.
trying to keep it as professional as possible.
I mean, but
but it is what it is. This is
you keep trying to make this thing professional, and we're doing like we staying on task, but we can only be who we are. Okay, we're the Ashleys. Our oldest son is 12; he'll be 13 in a week, 2 weeks, almost week and a half.
Yeah. And matter of fact, give it up for Nehemiah. He's on the camera back there. He's on the main camera.
Okay.
He's giving us the two shot right
I
now.
was about to say that, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, basically.
And he's working on a camera. So we know that there are things like that's a huge stepping stone. The fact that he is manning the camera and has autism. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he may be putting on a show behind the camera, but nonetheless, the job is getting done, right? Okay.
So just getting back to the matter at hand,
I
this
wasn't done.
you're not done.
I was
You took a breath, so I thought you were done.
so because I breathed.
Hey, say what you're gonna say.
Go ahead. No, go.
So I mean, there's different ways that we handle situations, and the reason why I'm saying not get into your feelings is that you can't just get angry and just want to blow up when your child is angry or when you don't understand or when you're confused. Sometimes you may have to just take a break because you're always climbing a mountain anyway. And when you're climbing a mountain, depending on how high that mountain is, you take a break and then you look at how much further you have to go. So that's one of the things that we have to do dealing with our children. And it's good to have a support system around you to where you have people that are helping you out or giving you hope, or that are in your life or lives, helping you to make it through or coaching you through it. Especially if they're going through the same things that we're going through, then there's a brotherhood, there's a sisterhood that's there, because I know that you're on the same journey. And that's all that we're doing here. So and also I have to mention that we're on a multitude of platforms. You can catch the podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Deezer. um we're just basically everywhere right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you want to say?
No, go ahead. I laughed because Tim is gonna throw his commercial in there, or what you call it, phasing. What you say it was called? When you talk about like the different areas that we could be watched or listened to.
That's just platforms. So
Well, to me, it's called a commercial, but I'm I've been told that I'm very old school. I'm a younger person, but what do they say? I have a old soul. Which is very true. But anyway, um, I'm sorry. I was saying something, but
yeah,
it threw me off.
but just to piggyback off of what you were just saying, we have to think about how we can also create self-care for ourselves. So
Okay, so since we're talking about that, what
yeah.
are what are some of the ways? Because I talked about what I do
Mhm.
and how I've been able to maintain somewhat of some type of sanity.
Mhm.
I may not always be sane. No, I'm always sane, but I may not always feel like I got it put together or whatever. But what do you think that as a man and as a father with 3 children on the autistic spectrum, what are some of the outlets that you have um to kind of
Okay,
outlet?
okay, some outlet could be based on some of your gifting.
What do you do? What are you
What
talking
what
about?
I do, for me, it could be, reading, could be studying the Bible, it could be praying, it could be doing exercises, getting my mind off of things that are happening. Um, it could be just, if the kids are about to melt down. I know it's pretty cold now, but generally what I usually do is I take them to the park or do something to get them, all stirred up, but at the same time, as I'm watching them, they're out running around and so on and so forth. I have a peace of mind. Just
Normally in the backyard, but he
in
says
the
running
backyard.
around.
Yeah, sometimes we
Now,
go to the park.
well, mostly because you remember you bought the we bought the trampoline, you bought a swing and a batting cage thing.
Yes, yes.
So
So the backyard is kind of like a miniature. Go back around the other way. It's kind of like a miniature amusement park for them. So yeah, so I mean, I have batting cage. I have the trampoline. You know, I want to get stuff that I like to do too. So if they like to jump, I like to jump around, or even going out on the trampoline alone. Sometimes I would go out on the trampoline in the
That's true.
backyard alone, put my headphones in, listen to some music, and do flips, or just do something that's gonna make you feel good. And because a lot of times we feel like we're not living life. We feel like we're constantly battling, and we're constantly not living. So you have to create a space where you're living, a living space
Right.
for yourself.
So how do you feel um coming this way? Um Now what was your take on therapy?
Therapy, I mean, I enjoyed it. um my wife it says that I'm,
His wife what? Now when y'all
no,
y'all
no,
gonna
no,
get to know I be the cause of a lot of things. So what did your wife do?
no. I mean, during therapy, you like, well, you act like you a therapist. You know.
Yeah, because how you all be in therapy talking to other people and giving them advice, and then the therapist talking about, oh, yeah, I'll take that into. I've never. No, that's not what we're
No,
doing.
but see, here's the thing.
These people gaining information from you, and I'm sitting here like, that is not what therapy is about. Like, I get, like, there may be times that I may say something or he may say something that may be enlightening to the therapist, but I'm not expecting them to let me. I'm expecting them to, like, think about it and say, oh, okay, I'll keep that in mind or whatever. Or if I'm explaining something to my therapist, she may say, oh, wow, I've never thought of it like that. Okay, that makes sense. But not yet. You know what I mean? Like, they getting some therapy too.
But I'm an exciting person. So when I'm talking about my life, and
Babe,
and my
you was like ministering to the people and then was like,
I'm
that's not what we're
I'm
doing.
I'm just saying this. I mean, my family, we're good storytellers. I'm not as good as my mom or my sisters or anything like that, but whenever whenever we're able to sit down and be able to talk to someone about a story, they can see what's going on. And then they see I got a good head on my shoulders, and that I'm thinking about doing optimistic things and helping other people. So I mean, they sit back, they're amazed. They're like, well, that's a good
How is that
idea. And
helpful to his mental health? Because he knows how to talk. That's why I would say, I was telling him, like, dude, you got to get up in there and be real with these people. Tell these people how you feeling. Like, he wasn't wanting to do that. That's why I'm
no,
asking
I'm
him.
not, but I'm not saying I wasn't doing that. It's just that I have so many dreams. I'm a dreamer. I'm a person that has a lot of live parts moving on the inside that are trying to get out. And I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm telling the person about my life and so on and so forth. And my whole life is like a movie. So it's kind of like
He ain't never lied, honey.
it's kind of like I'm just stating and telling you what my truth is and what I have to offer. And then when they hear it, they're like, okay, wow, you made it through this, you made it through that, and so on and so forth. And and the ideals that I have, like when I was starting the anger management and the reasoning behind it, and so on and so forth. So I mean, they look at it and they like, I'm a likable person when you really sit down and talk to me.
Yeah, but you're not there for likings. You're there to get. But again, therapy may not be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted him to I wanted him to, get therapy because it was something that is helpful to me. And he, as well as being the father, I felt like he needed to be able to open up and talk about how he was really feeling. But again, you have to be comfortable with the person that you're talking to. Me, I'm comfortable with my therapist. I talk about whatever I feel like talking about. If I want to say, if I want to talk about race, I'm going to talk about race. If I'm talking about my salvation or my relationship with God, I'm going to talk about my relationship with God. If I'm going to talk about my husband, I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. That's what I'm going to do, because that, and I'm not, they're saying against you,
Yeah,
but what I'm saying for me, because I know I needed to be able, I was piling up
yeah.
all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty like I think I'm a likable person too, but and I'm loud and laugh and all of that kind of stuff. But the person that I was becoming, yes, I was still going to church, and yes, I was doing my duties as I was supposed to be doing in the choir, praise and worship team, all of that or whatever. But inside, mentally, I
You feel
was
like you were
still
dying, right?
dying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so actually before, because we were attending this one church,
Mhm.
and things, nothing major happened or whatever, but God moved us and we started our own ministry or whatever. I'm being a little transparent or whatever, because that's what I do. And we started our own ministry, and in the midst of that, that's when, and we had a salon as well, and we were open to the autistic community, and we were constantly trying to usher in, our people or whatever. And I called them our people, our family, because we're this community that we're, looked over or whatever. So anyway,
Yeah, the autistic community.
yes. Um, During that time, um, we had the ministry, we had the salon, and that's when Grace was diagnosed with autism. And it was like I had no more get up and go. I had no more desire to do hair. I had no more desire to have a salon. I had no more desire to minister to anybody. I'm being very real with you, because being a follower, being a Christian, your faith in this, and I was talking to my therapist one day, and she was like, think about all of the people that had a relationship with God, and because something happened along the way with their children being diagnosed with autism, their relationship was broken away from Christ. And think about how you would be able to, kind of talk about your journey, and how, although you decided to hang on and stick in there, I was still very hurt and broken. And I was still working, like I said, but it was like I shut down. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So I stopped going to the salon. Like I just stopped. My anxiety had shot through the roof. I was doing my job as making sure that my kids went to school. I was making sure that their hair was done, the stuff that had to be done so that nobody was gonna call the people on us. You know what I'm saying? But the extra, I didn't have it in me.
Didn't have the
So
drive.
I had no drive. And I need people to know that even when you are a follower, even when you are a Christian, you had that happens. But you have to make the personal decision, and you have to think like, okay, what am I gonna do to make sure that I hold on? Not to make anything happen, because I can't make nothing happen. I can't change the situation. It was already done. You know what I mean? She had already been diagnosed. And again, my father came to me and he told me that I was not going, but that I would the life that he was used to seeing in me was just I was depleting or whatever. And you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that at that particular time it had gotten so bad. A couple months later, you ended up leaving.
Well, I wasn't gonna go there yet,
Yeah, but I
but
mean, but they have to,
had
because we're talking about being in our feelings, and we're talking about
yeah, but
the whole
see,
thing.
yeah, we gonna get to that because
Yeah,
yes, I left. Okay, but we wasn't there yet. I
yeah,
was trying to say, and I'm gonna let him talk about it because this might be helpful to him because clearly he got some feelings about it. But what I was saying was we were tested and we were tried, and we ended up having to, return back to this ministry or whatever. And in that, all we could do and all I could do was be poured into. I had, when I tell you we let the salon go, I can remember this broke my heart to the utmost. The last streaming that we had, it was in 2019. It was, I think it was September or October. I don't know. Anyways, and then Tim had started working nights or whatever. And I noticed I say or whatever a lot. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to use another filler. But so everything had kind of started getting put on me. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't have it in me. But I was still trying to make something happen.
Explain that when you say everything was put on you, so that we can understand a little bit for the audience. You're basically saying that because I was working nights
I
and I was
started
tired
having
during the
to,
day. There's certain things I wasn't able to help you with.
right, like anything.
I just left you
Nothing.
cold turkey.
He just checked out. And that's why I wanted him to go to therapy because regardless of what he checked out, he was there physically, but he had mentally checked out as well.
But why? Because I was working long hours and at night, and how it was, we started at a certain time, 6 p.m., and we finished. Um, how it worked is that we left the job whenever we finished, so it wasn't a set schedule. So sometimes I could work from 6 p.m. and get off at 10 in the morning, or so on and so forth. So that
Right.
that's how it was. So I would sleep most of the day until it was time for me to get back up,
Correct.
and that's I wasn't able to help her with
But then,
a lot of the things that
yeah, but also, even as it being a fresh diagnosis and not really expecting it, like you look for that person that you know is closest to you to be able to kind of be that person that you need, and it wasn't there. And not anything against him. Look, we've resolved most of the issues, I guess, but of course, nothing's perfect. Anyway, I said all of that to say that we had a period of just we was just going to church and fellowshipping with the people and just sit down, please. I don't want you to get hurt. Thank you. Um and getting poured into. That was it. It wasn't nothing extra. Um and of course at a certain point, we started implementing ourselves back into services or whatever. And is that what you Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I again all over the place, but mind the business. That's my business. Stay in my lane because I know absolutely nothing about cameras. So again, we slowly but surely implemented ourselves back into um trying to do things in the ministry or whatever. But what I'm saying is I couldn't do anything. I had nothing to give anybody. And so for me, going back to how I, kind of what was the question? I'm sorry.
question. It was just
How I, dealt with certain things.
yeah.
I didn't deal with it very well in the beginning. I did not. And that was one of the things I wanted to kind of discuss on the podcast. Like, what do you do after the diagnosis? Is how do you get back to the new normal? So I guess that's going to be next episode because we already well off into this one. But nonetheless, I did nothing until I don't want to say that I hit rock bottom, but I was like I had gotten to the point where I didn't my anxiety was so high. I could barely get out of bed and function. I would have anxiety attacks would come on from nowhere. And my therapist was telling me like you probably need to go see a doctor and you may need to take some kind of medicine. And so for me, I've always been the type of person that I don't like to take anything extra because being an asthmatic and having the history of asthma, I've always been on some type of medicine. From the moment I was diagnosed, I've always or whatever. So I've never been the type of person to want to take anything extra. As a matter of fact, I don't even take all my asthma medicine like I'm supposed to. But I don't, tell nobody to do that. Take your medicine like you're supposed to. But I had to because I was imbalanced. And so, went to the doctor, seen the doctor, whatever, and he prescribed some things or whatever for me. And I did not take them all the time. I only took them when I the anxiety came on, or if I was in the bed and I couldn't drag myself out, Tim would come in and be like, babe, why don't you come out in the living room and let's watch a movie? Or why don't you come out in the living room and let's do something? And I couldn't. I was depressed. I was bound to the bed. I wasn't working at the time. Um, and so the person that I am, I've always worked. I stopped working in 2012. The Lord blessed us for me to be able to come a stay at home mom or whatever. But that was never a desire of mine. I've never been the type of person to say, oh, I can't, like, yes, oh, I can't wait to have kids, but I can't wait to be a stay at home mom. I've always been the one to say, I want kids, but I also want to work. I want to be able to, people that you see on TV, they got jobs, the husband and the wife working. They go pick up the kids. They come home. They cooking dinner. They're having their talks about how school was, how work was. They're sitting at the table. Excuse me, and they're talking about their day. That was what I wanted, and that is not what was happening in my life. I was getting hit and knocked down every couple of years with this monster called autism. And so um it that it overtook me. And so one thing that helped me was starting to put myself back into singing, because I sing, Tim sings, and we had stopped. See, we didn't have a song no more. Now, when the things that you love to do, you no longer have a desire to do it. You feel like you don't love it no more. You don't want to do anything. That is where we were. And so when the opportunity was presented to me at the ministry, hey, um, why don't you, anytime you're ready to get back on the praise team or whatever, let me know, and come on. And I was, very hesitant, but it was like, what else you gonna do? You know what I mean? Everything else you are trying to do isn't really doing, it's not giving what you needed to give. And so I was like, okay, let me just give it a try and see what happens. And so I feel like slowly but surely, once I started doing and using the gifts that God had given me, literally, kind of started building. Well, I'm speaking for myself, and Tim will definitely speak for himself. Started building back up. Yes, I was still going to therapy faithfully. Trust me, faithfully. And I did have to start taking the medication, but all of those three things, and going to therapy, learning that, D, you probably need to find a part-time job, or you probably need to get out of the house and do stuff, because when you don't leave your house, and when you don't, like, yeah, you take your showers or whatever, but you're not doing anything productive, like going outside and doing little things for yourself, it's like you get lost. And so that's where I was. And so I ended up, again, what are you doing? He's again, a whole show is going on behind me. I'm over here pouring my heart out, and he over here in a High School Musical. I don't know, but thanks be to God, I will not complain, because again, he is way beyond what we were told he was going to be. Anyway, um, yeah. So slowly but surely, I I started building myself back. Well, the Lord started building me back up. And not saying that every day was a good day, because every day was not a good day. But I can say I am farther now than I was before. I no longer want to just lay in my bed and do nothing. And do I have my moments, or the days or times? Absolutely, 100%. But I feel like once I literally started doing a little bit for me, I started learning how to do my own nails. And I don't really do them now, but I have everything you need for a nail salon upstairs now. I started learning how to do my hair with different styles. You know, we like to change it up as black women, change it up to different types of things. I started learning how to do lace front wigs and, you know, all of these different things and lashes on myself. All of the stuff that I used to love to do, I started kind of doing it on myself just to kind of bring some fulfillment to my life. You know what I mean? It was therapy because my therapist was saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you, you know, at least do this for yourself? And, you know, asked him if it's okay if you go out for an hour and a half, and just go, excuse me, to Walmart. Because, you know, Walmart can be a whole mall for us. I used to go drop them off and go to Walmart and be there for like 2 hours and find either walk around and just kind of, you know, decompress or, you know, shop. But that is some of the ways in the beginning of after the third diagnosis. And I will say we ended up closing the factory because I was like, I can't. I had no problems with being pregnant, actually loved being pregnant. But just a lot of people, a lot of women, that's a determining factor. If there's a possibility that you can have more children that are autistic, a lot of women are very afraid to have more children. And the fact that it happened to us 3 times, I was like, no,
Because it's a lot of work,
it's a
you
lot
know.
of work. It's a blessing. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
love each and every one of my kids to life, but it's a lot and it does determine your family and if you want to and if you don't want to. And after that, it was like for me, and I don't know about Tim, I was glad that, you know, I had made the decision to go ahead and make sure that, you know, what I could do to make sure I don't have no more kids. But, you know I don't have the final say. But what I'm saying is, I just said I can't do it no more. Now, if circumstances were different, would I have possibly? But
Shoot, we probably have like 10 kids or something by
no, not
now.
10, maybe one more. But I'm okay. I'm good. You know, I haven't had baby fever in 5 years. So
Yeah.
it's giving what it needs to. No kids. Your
Yeah.
turn.
And just for me, I
No
mean,
more kids.
for me, the
Sorry.
self care is very big. And if you're not doing that, you're not really living, to be honest with you. For me, when we had to go back, well, decided to go back to the other ministry. For me, ministry is something that's therapy for me.
Right.
You know, being able to
Help
help
others.
people, help
Hmm.
other people, and be able to pour into them. You know, get away from my situation for just a little bit, and just you see how I can help some other people or persons.
Hmm.
Um, that's therapy for me. You know, I mean,
But
that's
did you feel like you were ready to do it as soon as we went back? Where were you at?
at first I wasn't. It took me about a couple months to get my head back in the game, and then I was just ready to go. I was like, it's time to
Yeah.
stop moping around, and it's time to get back to business.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really flowing for me like that. So I mean, I stayed as long as I could to just to try to make things work, try to work. I mean, see where I fit in at, and it was really no place for me. So I was like, well, let's just try it from home and just see what we're doing
I
and see
wasn't really
how it
gonna go
works.
there.
But yeah,
I wasn't really gonna go there.
we're not going there.
I
We're just
wasn't
talking.
gonna. I don't want to say
I
there
mean,
was no.
it was a good ministry. I mean, it was a good ministry, and it still is a good ministry. So I mean, I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just you have to do what's right for you.
There you go. And it's
So
not to say that there was no place for us. I will say that our season was up. It was time for us to move on and do what it is that we are meant to do.
yeah,
And that's just what it is.
yeah. So we
Um,
wish everyone well.
okay, so
You know.
go on because I feel like
But yeah, yeah,
we're
we're
not
moving
doing
on. But I'm
this.
just talking about the therapy aspect of some of the things that you like to do. Just get in there and just do what's good for you. And I'm not saying I'm just gonna go do me. I'm not in a selfish way, but like activities to help you further along your peace of mind.
Right. I thought your head was cut off. I'm sorry.
Is it? Yeah. Cameraman's not doing his job back there.
He done clocked
He didn't
out,
clocked out,
bro.
right?
He's done.
Well,
You should see the faces. He's like, I ain't asked for this job anyway. So
listen, we're already an hour in.
are we?
Yeah, we're an hour
I
in.
mean, I'm not an hour in because I was technically late. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm appreciative of this outlet because we went to my in-laws. Shout out to my in-laws. I told them to watch us today, so I don't see that. I don't see them, but nonetheless, I love them. And we went over to hang out with them because we hadn't seen them in about a month or whatever, and maybe about 3 weeks, about a month. And so I was Tim when he gets to his mom's house, he clocked all the way out. Do you hear me? He went in his mama room. He got to bed, and he was done with his clan. Um, so and which is fine because me and his sisters, we have an amazing relationship, and my niece loves the kids, and so again, I clock out as well as much as I can. I'm in the room and stuff like that and helping, but she does a lot, to kind of alleviate some of the stuff that we have to do. And I love her for it. Thank you so much. Don't forget we need you next Sunday. Um, so we were talking or whatever, and I was asking, I was like, hey, did you guys know that me and your brother have a podcast that we do every Sunday night at 7? And they were like, we think we saw a little bit, nobody never want to say, no, we ain't never catch you. But I'm okay with that because we're fairly new or whatever, and we're still trying to learn how to advertise and get out there or whatever. But talking to them and just giving them a little bit of an overview of what we talk about and what we do, they were genuinely happy for us. You know what I mean? Like they were so like, oh my gosh, I wish there was something like that out there for us when we were raising kids because now all of their kids are older. Some grown and some teenagers. Um, but they were genuinely like dialed in, tuned into what I was telling them and kind of explaining to them what we do and what we talk about. And I'm just appreciative of them just listening because they were just like, wow, they were like, okay, so you talk about this, and it must be a therapy to you guys. And honestly, this is a form of therapy and an
Yeah.
outlet for us because, excuse me, I'm sorry, that bolognese is, giving me reflux acid. um, it is a form of therapy because although we're not going to bare our complete souls to you guys, but we're still very transparent. And I'm not the type of person that I want to hide or pretend. That was one of the things that we talked about on the first episode. In every episode, there will be times that you see our kids walk in and out of the frame. There will be times that you hear one of our kids having a tantrum or whatever the case may be, because that's just who we are. We can't hide it. When you live this life and you're really living this life, and you of autism, that's what happens. You
You have a
can't
busy
pretend.
life. It's busy all
It's
the
busy.
time.
It's always something going on. Now, it's quiet. Then it's quiet up in here, and that is very rare. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him shut this thing down so I can get me a peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate each and every one of you guys that tunes in and watches us.
Shout out to Kingston, Jamaica.
Yeah, shout out to my
Your
sister.
sister.
She watches all the time or whatever, and I love her and I thank you for doing that. And all of the people, my other god sister, shout out to her and her husband. They watch us all the time. I
Vero
appreciate it.
Beach, Florida.
Everybody, I don't know who watches and who doesn't watch, but if you like what you see, please like it, subscribe, shoot us a
We're on
comment,
YouTube. We're on Facebook,
share on your
Twitter.
page. Oh, one of our closest friends, best friends here in Georgia watch. You know what I'm saying? So share it. Let people know that hey, my homegirl, my homeboy, whatever, my brother, my sister, they have this going on. And even if you don't have it in your immediate family, somebody may know somebody that knows somebody that needs this help.
So get the word out.
Get the word out.
Yeah. All right. So this is actually episode 6, and we were just talking about dealing, how to deal with certain situations, and not to be in your feelings. So it's going to be available audio will be available tomorrow. And we appreciate you guys supporting us. Thank you for whoever showed up at the support groups. And we're going to
Yes.
keep diving in and keep giving um, a safe place for other people, especially with this platform. So God bless you
And
all.
one more thing, I'm so sorry. So this being the month of February, not everybody celebrates Valentine's Day, and I understand a lot of people say it's a made up holiday, blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. And to each his own. Me and my husband will be celebrating because we deserve it. Dressed up, all of that, having a dinner date with a group of friends that we hadn't seen in a minute. So I'm looking forward to it very much so. And so the day that we're going out is going to be Sunday. We will not, but so this is what we're gonna do, and we'll probably be out, but we'll still kind of like jump on for a few moments around this time just to say hi, just to kind of show our face. Yay, nay.
Yeah, we'll be out and about, so you'll see us out and about.
Like we're not gonna like film none of the people unless they want to be filmed or whatever you call it. But we will still show up on next Sunday, which is actually February the 13th. So I just wanted to say it may not be a full blown
You're not gonna get a full episode, so
episode podcast,
it's
but we will pop on 7 o'clock and talk a little bit if we can, smile and then say, okay, we finna eat or something like that. I don't know. But still tune in on Sunday at 7.
okay. So God bless. We love you all, and we'll see you next week for a second.
See you later. Thanks for watching Living with the Spectrum.
Living with the Spectrum. Love y'all.
Bye. You might say bye, y'all.
Director today, huh?